You're defending the position that a woman who has already had her body violated needs to have it continually violated for the next 9 months. I have been informed of this person's existence for quite a while, but I've avoided covering him for a variety of reasons, one of which is that the majority of the TikTok I was told to cover was on TikTok, and TikTok's kind of unwieldy when I'm trying to cover it, but regardless, we're going to be covering Christian Walker. Let's go ahead. Ivy Duke, Ivy Doku says, Suris VTuber. Thank you very much, Ivy Doku. Let's go ahead and get to the fan art section first, and then we will get into the actual conversations. So, this one is from YouTube Grudge. Said not the best, but I like it. I like the design there, and the fact that that is something that I definitely don't have. I has no abs, but there are abs here. The next one we have is going to be from Unholy Noise. Said the way I drew and colored was inspired by my all-time favorite cat girl, Miss Fortune. So we have a VKS sweater model being utilized here with a giant Soul Eater-esque hammer just sitting there. I like the stitching on the side there. It makes the VKS almost look homemade. What do you do there? Don't go shooting your butt off. Jesus. Kira Soccer, thank you for redeeming your points for an uwu. Uwu. And Liskade Babbitt as well, because all redeems have been converted for the rest of the stream. Thank you for redeeming your points for an uwu. Uwu. And finally, we have the last fan art here. This one is... their name in the server was Shiro when they put this up, but it has been changed to Lane, which is why you'll see there's a thing on here for why. This is a work in progress version of it, and then the finished version was put here. I really fucking like this design. I'm not even going to lie. I might send this design to like Bonbon and Suzu and Remixin and be like, hey, OG and Slime and like various model artists who work on my stuff. I need this sweater. Like with the VKS before it, I think I need this sweater. I really do. As always, thank you all for your fan art submissions. If you want your fan art to be shown in a future episode, the best way to do so is to drop it into the fan art section of the Discord. And with all that said, one more thank you. And let's go ahead and get into the topic at hand. So it's Pride Month, and Christian Walker posted something up onto his Twitter, which I assume is also something that's going to go up on his TikTok later. Who knows? Who cares? We're going to cover it now anyway. Let's go ahead and take a look at the video itself.
Honey Bun, why do you need a month to celebrate who you sleep with? Newsflash, nobody cares. You have all your rights, now shut up.
All right, I'm going to say something really insulting. This is the first time I've ever actually, like, watched something from Christian Walker, and, I know gaydars are not a thing. They don't actually work, but why is mine ringing? Jesus Christ. Anyway, he radiates bottom bitch energy. Holy shit. But no, like, you understand that gay pride, or just Pride Month, LGBTQ pride, it's more than just who you fuck, right? And also, people were persecuted, and still are, for who they wanted to love, for who they loved. As a result, pride was a response to that. Said, is he not gay? I've seen many examples of conservative cis gay men. People get persecuted for who they are, and as a result, they tend to respond reflexively, and in many cases defensively, in a way to protect themselves. Pride is one of those ways to do it. And remember, pride is more about just being proud of the fact that you are who you are. It's not pride as in one of the 7 deadly sins. It's not hubris. But let's continue.
You take a Pride Month out to run around the streets with no clothes on and hook up in public, and then you want to run around crying, oh, I'm so oppressed, no one likes me. Well, stop pushing it in everybody's face.
All right, so first of all, if you don't want things pushed in people's faces, don't be a content creator. You're literally pushing things in people's faces. It's what you do. It's the content creator thing. Secondly, Pride Month isn't about running around naked and fucking in public. I don't know what pride parades you've been to, but that's usually not a thing. Red Sugar, oh wow, his voice. Bless his heart. I am just Southern enough to agree. But, no, it's... Yes, people can be more scantily clad at certain pride parades, but that's not the same thing as, like, literally fucking in public. That's not a thing that's happening. That would be way too kinky if that was. You ever wonder if he went to Pride, couldn't hook up in public, and is now angry and whinging in video format? So the craziest thing I've ever seen at Pride in Portland is nudity. Well, yeah, and you can see nudity at a nude beach. Like, a naked body existing is not the same thing as people violently humping in public. One of these things is slightly inappropriate, and the other of these things is get a fucking room, leave. Ivana Dragmeyer, thank you for redeeming your... You are literally one of the most cursed people here. Of course you would do this. Redeeming your points for an... Oh, woo. Oh, woo. Who is this guy? Just from his vibe, he reminds me of a beauty influencer. He's not, as far as I know.
No one cares. But the truth of the matter is, you want everyone to care because you need attention. It's 2022.
You are literally posting a video to the internet. It is maybe a good idea to recognize when the house you are throwing the stone from is made of glass. Also, I didn't realize I was going to catch him in a literal oral face. But, truth be told, Pride Month existing is like saying that Black History Month is black people saying, pay attention to me, pay attention to me. But that's not really the case. It's more about recognizing that there are groups of people who were oppressed in the United States, and in some cases still are, and having a moment to recognize them as more than just an invisible passerby. It's not a bad thing, and it's not harmful, like, in any way, shape, or form. There's not really any harm to Pride Month. You're just upset. Also, with that demeanor, I'm sorry, Pride Month belongs to you as much as anyone else, dude.
We can barely afford gas in America.
Who cares? Category error.
Nobody has the time to run around worrying about what you do and policing your actions.
Nobody has to police their actions. They just go out and do a parade. That's it. Who's having to police their act? Why is that having to happen?
Get over your insecurities and leave everyone alone. Oh, and by the way, pride is a sin.
That walk! Oh my that is the most flamboyant walk. Yeah, no. I'm sorry. I'm calling it. Christian Walker. That feels... That is aggressively gay. That is like person who... What's the best way to put this? When you think of a gay stereotype, that is all of that. Every bit of that is that. And there's nothing wrong with that. But again, glass houses, my friend. So this has to be a joke? He has a better walk than than me, and I'm a sex worker? Said, that's not aggressively gay. That's systematically violent gay. Jesus Christ. But we do have some more stuff to go over, because it's not just that video. It's not just that. If it was just that, then that wouldn't be a whole lot. It'd be me disagreeing with a single person for a single take, and while there's certainly a lot of things where I do that, it's not just that. We do have a video from his TikTok as well. Let's take a look here.
Fathers, it would be great if you stayed home and raised your kids instead of ran off to bang a bunch of women who weren't your baby mama. Stay home and raise your freaking kids. Your kids need a father.
All right, so first of all, let's go ahead and do counterpoint. Let's say that the mother is an abusive person and that relationship is toxic. If that is the case, then no, the father does not need to be there. In fact, actually, the kid probably might not need to be there either in some of those cases. So is he wearing makeup or is it a filter? I have no idea.
Get back home. Get back home. If you take out your thing and you get a woman pregnant, guess what? The party days are over.
That is also stupid. Your life should not immediately stop just because you have a kid. It's called a balance. You can have a balance of raising your child, and then during the times where you're not having to look after them because they are either in daycare or they are asleep or various other things, you still have a measure of freedom. Babysitters exist.
The acting foolish days are over. You go get a freaking job and you support your new family.
Hey, so I want to agree with this point. On paper, yes, if you have a kid, please be responsible. Please take care of them. On the other hand, why is it just the guy that has to get the job? That feels maybe a little sexist. What if we want to have a stay-at-home dad?
Get home. Raise your kids. Kids need a man in the house raising them.
No, kids just need sane parents. It doesn't matter. That the mom can be a lesbian. There can be 2 girls here. There's no real issue. I don't like this rhetoric. The child needs a father! No, the child needs a handful of parents that are good. It takes a village. You don't need a father specifically. You don't need a mother specifically. You just need parents that will actually fucking love you.
They need a good dad. They need a loving father. And while you're out taking shots of vodka and tequila, living your high life, your kid is suffering. Get home.
Again, I want to agree with the message. Be a responsible parent if you have a child. Take care of your kid. I want to agree, but the delivery is completely bullshit.
Get home. Raise your kids.
Is there a point where he stops saying the same thing over and over again? Is this just a way to fill the video runtime? Is that what's happening? That's also quite the freeze frame. I like that freeze frame with the Suris follow. It actually frames him perfectly.
Fathers, get home.
How much you want to bet his dad abandoned him? And this is lashing out. Like, I know that sounds mean and cruel, but I'm just saying it feels like that. It feels like that. But we've also got a series of tweets. It's not just a series of videos. Because the bad takes don't stop there, or at least the bad deliveries in many cases, too. Wikipedia says he's gay. Oh, boy. Oh, boy. The first 2 I have here are, a gun did not grow legs, walk into a school, and steal the lives of our American children. An evil man did, which, you know, I want to agree with you, yeah. But the problem is in America, while a gun may be a tool for survival, a tool for defense, we don't treat it like that. Here in the States, guns are treated like status symbols. Guns are treated like penises. They're measurement devices. If people don't have a gun or enough guns, they feel emasculated in groups of other people. Paladin Lost, thank you for resubscribing. Like, that's an issue in the United States. Also, I have a question. What happens if a mass shooter does not have access to a gun? Just throwing that out there. If you have somebody who wants to kill people on a mass scale and he doesn't have access to a gun, what options does he have? Generally speaking, either chemical warfare, which doesn't happen as often, or knives, which a lot easier to circumvent. Just throwing those out there. I'm pro-responsible gun ownership. I feel as if America long since forgot what the fuck that is. Next one is, I'm not interested in hearing your political takes on the Uvalde shooting. Children lost their lives. Pray for their families. Prayer doesn't do shit. I'm sorry. Prayer is part of a cycle. When we have shootings like that, or any shooting, prayer is always a part of the cycle. Thoughts and prayers, lots of words. Politicians post the same shit every time, and then nothing changes. But we have more. I have more for you. They don't care if you're a Republican or Democrat. If you voted to send $40 billion to Ukraine while the Americans are struggling, you don't care about your country. So this is a position we like to call nationalism. The idea that other countries shouldn't matter because your country is a problem. Your country needs its problem solved. America's got its fair share of problems that need to be solved. You're right. But one of them is not an active military barring on our doorsteps and us having to hear the sounds of falling missiles and gunfire. I'm sorry, but our problems are solvable with the means we have right now. Sending $40 billion to another country so that they would not fall to an invading force, which we would hope is the same treatment that we would get if we were to be invaded by another country too. Sending foreign aid to an ally does not magically, in a zero-sum game, prevent Americans in the United States from having aid. Public policy stops that. It's not that that $40 billion had a chance to either go to Ukraine or either go to the American education system. I guarantee you, going to the American education system was never part of an agreement. Can everyone said, pray, forget, rinse, event happens again, rinse, repeat? Yep. The next one you have is Pride Month starts next week, which means people are going to be marching through the streets with no clothes on, claiming they're oppressed. So yes, people tend to be less clothed at pride parades generally, but if you've been to a beach, it's not really much of a problem. Oh no, the man was dancing with a thong on! Literally, I grew up in Florida. I could have seen that on the beach at any point, and it would have changed nothing. It doesn't mean anything. It's not a fucking problem. But okay. If you are protesting and yelling outside of someone's house, then it doesn't matter what political side you're on, you're deranged. So if the person you're protesting happens to be basically immune to anything happening to them, but they, with their political decisions, have the ability to affect every facet of your life, an argument can be made that they have already invaded your privacy by setting out legislation that interferes with, say, your bodily autonomy. Protesting in front of their house? Supreme Court's already said that was legal. And I think it's also perfectly ethical to do in a situation where somebody has direct effect over your life. But that's my bar. If a politician or a policymaker or a law interpreter has the direct ability to negatively affect your life, you should have the ability to negatively affect theirs as well. And if that means being inconvenient that they have to hear you yelling outside their house because you literally invaded their body through public policy, sucks to be you. You took the position and you made the dumb fuck decision. You quite literally understood those risks when you signed up to do the job. But we got more, unfortunately. We got more. And these ones suck a little more. All of the pro-choice women saying they're going on a sex strike look like they need to go on a strike from Burger King. As if every woman who is going on a sex strike is fat. I love the fat shaming, don't you? Doesn't that just make messages much clearer? Doesn't it make it much more obvious that we just shouldn't give a fuck what this person has to say? Most of the women claiming they're going on a sex strike don't look like they were having any sex to begin with. I like how we made the exact same joke. One day apart. This is the mind of conservatism in the United States. They only have a handful of jokes and they have to recycle them. Like Ben Shapiro recycling the same Mother's Day joke for 10 years. I have friends who were conceived through rape. How dare you act as though their lives are less valuable because of an act they had nothing to do with. And now we find that Christian Walker is pro-forced birth even through rape. That's what that means. You're defending the position that a woman who has already had her body violated needs to have it continually violated for the next 9 months merely because you have friends. You have friends who were conceived through rape. I was an accident. I was an unplanned mistake. But that does not mean that I would advocate for controlling a woman's body if she made a mistake, if she had an accident. The ability for abortion to have been a choice is better than the potentiality of random people popping up in the world. Said he's just getting mad because in his mind we're calling his friends rape babies. People have the ability to identify however they wish. If you want to identify as a child of rape, more power to you. I think that's incredibly unhealthy, but you can. If you'd rather identify as an individual who is autonomous irrespective of your conception, that's probably a lot healthier, but you have that ability too. Nobody's calling you a rape baby. We're saying that people should not be forced to carry rape babies, as those fetuses haven't had a chance to self-actualize yet. Sounds like he's saying he's holier than thou. Well, of course he is. Of course he is. 2 students go to college and take out a student loan. One chooses to study finance. The other chooses to study African gender studies. Only one ends with a job capable of paying the debt. The finance student should not be responsible for helping pay the other student's loan. All right, so secondary example. House A is the house of a smoker. House B is the house of a non-smoker. Or even better, House A chose to have a gas stove. House B chose to have an electric stove. The houses are next to each other. House A starts to catch on fire because of a problem with the gas stove. They both pay taxes. We fund the firefighters, nowadays, through taxes. Would you say that House B should not pay taxes because of the mistakes of House A? I would say no. We should all pay our fair share and all equally reap the benefits. The way the student loan system works right now, it pits people against each other in this predatory fashion. We should have a comprehensive single-payer system for not only our healthcare, not only our fire departments, but also our colleges, our education. Everybody should have access to a college education. Everybody should have the ability to gain knowledge. Locking it behind a financial barrier is stupid in the first place. Arguing whether or not one person should be responsible for the debt is playing the ball game in their court. To say this just shows the problem with the system we're in. The fact that you even conceptualize this as two individuals and not several million people pitching in pennies of their own net worth into a system that can pay for us all is the problem. Our Sweet says the problem with college is that tuition is only 40% the cost of attendance. Well, yeah, the other costs are also incurred with like fucking books. And the fact that we have a shit ton of money wrapped up in rewriting college textbooks over and over again without putting any new information in them. I want to go back to the abortion one for a second here. If you're a Christian, the abortion happens and the child goes to heaven immediately. The child never gets a chance to give a shit. It's fine. If you're not pro-abortion, if you're not Christian, then the child probably just dies and doesn't exist anymore, which means the child never had a chance to care. They had no experiences, no fear, no pain, no nothing. In the case of an abortion, all that happened is a potential life was stopped. Even if you argue that personhood begins at conception, I don't care. That child still had no experiences. There was nothing there to strip away from someone. So that 50% of the cost of attendance is room and board. Well, don't a lot of colleges have like a thing where you have to be on campus for the first year at the very least? And then we get full-on college towns when it should just be that there's a university in a town circumstantially. But we have a few more to go through. Not many, just two.
Elon Musk is an African American. Anyone who is against him buying Twitter is a racist and needs to check their privilege. Diversity matters.
African American is a descriptive term to describe a certain type of person of color within the United States. It does not literally mean American citizen who was born in Africa. There's a reason African American as a term is kind of being thrown into the backwater, and we're using terms like person of color or just using terms like black because the descriptive nature of that term is apparently not understood by a lot of people. Yeah, conservative brain expand. Yeah, buy POC. That's another one. It's not racism to say that I don't want a single billionaire having control over one of the largest platforms of conversation on the internet. But we'll finish with a follow-up to that.
The fact that the left would have a meltdown over Elon Musk bringing back free speech to Twitter tells us everything we need to know about their agenda.
Let's talk about free speech for a second. Let's talk about that. Now, I know in Elon Musk's own words, he said that free speech would operate exactly like free speech does where the law is concerned. But the law in America is very lax with what you're allowed to get away with free speech. You're allowed to get away with certain forms of defamation, as long as you're vague enough about them. Candace Owens has done this already. You're allowed to get away with certain calls for violence, so long as they are done in such a stochastic way that we can't actually pin down that you were calling for violence. Steven Anderson is allowed to say that gay people should be shot on sight, especially by government officials as a legally mandated thing, but that is magically, in the United States, not considered a call for violence, despite it being a sentence with violence in it, and there being a group of people it is directed towards, that is not considered a call for violence. That type of language, for the most part, is not allowed via Twitter TOS. It would be allowed via Twitter TOS if Elon Musk's interpretation of freedom of speech were to be allowed on the platform. To understand that difference, to understand the nuance in those positions, is to understand why the term freedom of speech doesn't have a whole lot of meaning in discourse. When you say that, I need to say, what do you mean by that? When you say freedom of speech, what are the limits? What types of harms are we allowed to inflict on another person with our words? Where is the line? Every free speech absolutist has a line. It's just a matter of getting them to tell you where that line is. But that's all the Christian Walker I'm able to tolerate for today. And I don't know if I'm going to try to tolerate him again, because I'm going to be honest, while I do generally agree with the statement, do not kill the part of you that cringes, or do not kill the part of you that is cringe, kill the part of you that cringes, I kind of don't want to deal with this level of cringe ever again. But I recognize, like with everybody I cover on this channel, eventually I'll probably have to again. Sagar says there's another tweet of his that was cringe. Do you want to throw it at me? It could be the last tweet, but it would have to be in the next 20 seconds. So just imagine his dad gets elected as a GA senator. We'll never stop hearing him. Dear God. Oh, yeah. I forgot about this one. This last one here.
Pride Month is starting, so I'd like to announce to everyone that I'm not gay. I am attracted to men, but I refuse to identify with the rainbow cult. I don't believe in indoctrinating children. My whole identity isn't my sexuality.
With that walk, yes, it is.
And I don't go to gay bars. Don't call me gay.
I have a question. Dude, do you like men? Are you a men? We have a word for that. Gay. You may not like that, but this is a descriptive term, and it describes a behavior that you engage in. Rusty Shank, thank you very much for redeeming your points for an
Oh.
said once gay, always gay, and we're proud of it. Like, it's okay to be gay, Christian. It's okay. There are people who are gay, recognize they're gay, accept they're gay, but do not want to be part of the larger LGBTQ conversation. It's a thing that happens. It's a thing you can do. I think it's dumb, but it's a thing you can do. I like this tweet here. Bless your not gay but attracted to men little heart. For your information, nobody's whole identity is their sexual orientation or their disorder or their color. Yeah, this is another thing. Like, okay, I've seen some people who make their sexuality or a particular neurosis or their race a significant part of their identity. Think of a white supremacist. A significant part of their identity is the white supremacy. The fact that they're white. But that generally isn't all of their personality. There's generally more to them than that. If the only thing to them were the fact that they were a Klansman, then you probably wouldn't be able to convince them to change their mind. And yet there's a pretty alarming historical precedent of Klansmen's de-radicalizing because of exposure to people of different races who happen to share similar values with them, but are the type of person that they said that they're supposed to hate. This is a thing and a phenomenon that we've observed a lot. Most people, even the most extreme of cases, do not make one aspect of their life their entire personality. Like, my entire personality is not VTuber. It's not Yu-Gi-Oh player or Magic the Gathering player. It's not gamer in any shape or form. It's not even philosophy nut. It's not even person who likes video essays. It's not demisexual polyamorous person. Like, these are all aspects of me, but none of them are my identity. And that's the way it is for most people. But don't worry, Christian Walker. You're not gay. It's okay. They didn't want you there anyway. Anyways, as always, everybody, let me know what you think in the comment section below. If you enjoyed this video, hit the like button and subscribe if you haven't already. Follow over on Twitter if you haven't already, and Twitch. As always, everybody, insert end of video tagline here.